In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 1,000 kilometers from nowhere, sits a city that shouldn't exist. 100,000 tons of stone, walls rising from beneath the sea, magnetic rocks that make compasses go haywire. They say it was built 800 years ago. And the island never sank, which means this city was standing when the oceans were 100 meters lower. 14,000 years ago, before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before civilization itself. This is Nan Madol, and it's about to change everything you thought you knew about human history. Nan Madol sits on the southeastern shores of Pohnpei Island in Micronesia. But this isn't a city built on land, it's a city built in the ocean. We're talking about 92 artificial islands constructed on a coral reef lagoon connected by an intricate network of canals. The locals call it the Venice of the Pacific, but that comparison doesn't do justice to the sheer impossibility of what we're looking at. The numbers are staggering. The city covers 75 hectares and is built entirely from basalt rock. The walls reach up to 25 feet high and 18 feet thick in some places. Individual stones weigh up to 40 tons each. That's 6 elephants worth of weight per stone. The total amount of stone used? Over 100,000 tons of volcanic basalt that doesn't even exist on Pohnpei. It had to be quarried from a location nearly half a kilometer away and transported across water. According to official archaeology, this was accomplished by the Sorcerers dynasty sometime between 1200 and 1628 AD, using only coconut fiber ropes, wooden rafts, and human labor. No wheels, no metal tools, no cranes, just primitive technology moving millions of tons of stone across the open ocean to build a city that housed around 1,000 people at its peak. But here's where the official story falls apart. The walls of Nan Madol don't just sit on the ocean floor. They rise from beneath the sea. The foundations start well below current sea level. You cannot build walls starting from underwater with ancient technology. Which means when these walls were constructed, they must have been above sea level. The sea must have been much lower. Geologists confirm that Pohnpei Island has never sunk due to geological activity. The land is stable. So if the island didn't sink, there's only one explanation: the ocean rose. And the last time the Pacific Ocean experienced a major rise in sea level was approximately 14,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, when massive continental ice sheets melted and raised ocean levels by over 100 meters worldwide. If Nan Madol was built before that catastrophic sea level rise, it would make it over 14,000 years old. That's 12,000 years older than the pyramids of Egypt, older than Stonehenge, older than any civilization mainstream archaeology acknowledges. But the mysteries don't end with dating. The basalt stones used in Nan Madol have another bizarre property. They're magnetic. Bring a compass near these rocks and the needle spins chaotically, unable to find north. Why would ancient builders specifically choose magnetic stones? Was it intentional? Some researchers speculate the magnetic properties might have been used in ancient levitation or transportation technologies. It sounds impossible, but how else do you explain moving 40-ton stones across water without modern equipment? The local Pohnpeian people have their own explanation, preserved in legend for generations. They say Nan Madol was built by twin sorcerers named Olisipa and Olosopa, who came from a mythical western land called Catal. According to the stories, these weren't ordinary humans. They possessed magical powers that allowed them to make the massive basalt logs fly through the air and position themselves perfectly. Some versions say they rode a giant flying dragon that carried the stones. Now, we're not suggesting that magic is real or that dragons existed, but ancient legends often preserve kernels of truth wrapped in mythological language. What if the story of flying stones describes advanced technology that primitive observers couldn't understand? What if these sorcerers were actually members of an advanced civilization whose capabilities seemed like magic to less developed peoples? The legend mentions that the twins came from a western land, a place that no longer appears on any map. This detail becomes fascinating when we consider theories about lost continents in the Pacific. In 1926, James Churchward published The Lost Continent of Mu, Motherland of Man, claiming that an advanced civilization once existed on a Pacific continent before being destroyed by cataclysm around 12,000 years ago. Churchward specifically identified Nan Madol as a remnant of this lost civilization. Other researchers have proposed similar theories. Bill Ballinger suggested in his 1978 book that Nan Madol was built by Greek sailors blown off course around 300 BC. David Hatcher Childress connects it to ancient seafaring civilizations that crisscrossed the Pacific millennia before official history acknowledges such voyages. Art Bell and Whitley Strieber argued that the technical sophistication required to build Nan Madol indicates a society that must have been destroyed by dramatic means, possibly a global catastrophe. While mainstream science rejects the existence of Mu or Lemuria, we know that 14,000 years ago, sea levels were dramatically lower. Vast land masses that are now underwater were above sea level. The coastlines looked completely different. What we consider isolated islands today might have been connected to larger land areas that are now submerged beneath hundreds of feet of water. So what does this all mean for human history? Nan Madol forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about what we think we know. According to our current understanding of history, 14,000 years ago, humans were primitive hunter-gatherers. They lived in small groups, used stone tools, and had no capability for large-scale construction or social organization. The idea that they could quarry, transport, and precisely stack 100,000 tons of massive stones to build an ocean city seems absurd, yet the evidence is literally right there, half submerged in the Pacific. The construction shows no developmental stages, no practice runs, no simpler earlier versions. It's as if the builders appeared with complete knowledge and executed it perfectly. That's not how human technological development works, unless they inherited that knowledge from somewhere else, from someone else. What makes Nan Madol even more intriguing is that it's not alone. Around the world, we find similar megalithic structures that defy conventional explanations. Pumapunku in Bolivia features massive stones with machine-precise cuts. Baalbek in Lebanon has foundation blocks weighing over 800 tons. The Osirion in Egypt shows construction techniques completely different from the rest of the site. All of these locations feature impossibly heavy stones moved and placed with precision that seems beyond ancient capabilities. Could these sites be connected? Could they all be remnants of a global civilization that existed before the end of the Ice Age? A civilization that was wiped out by the massive climate changes, rising seas, and possible cosmic impacts that marked the Younger Dryas period around 12,000 years ago? The sorcerer dynasty that officially built Nan Madol ruled until 1628 AD, when they were conquered by the warrior Isokelekel. But perhaps the sorcerers didn't build Nan Madol at all. Perhaps they simply moved into and repurposed structures that were already ancient when they arrived. After all, the dating that gives us the 1200 AD timeframe is based on human remains and artifacts found at the site, not on the stones themselves. It only tells us when people lived there, not when it was built. Today, Nan Madol sits abandoned, slowly being reclaimed by jungle and sea. The city is overgrown, mysterious, and largely unexplored, but it stands as a monument to something we've lost. Some chapter of human history that was erased when the ice melted, when the oceans rose, when entire land masses vanished beneath the waves and civilizations were wiped from existence. Nan Madol remains one of the most unsettling places on Earth, not because we don't know where it is, not because we don't know who lived there, but because we don't truly understand how it was built or when its story really began. An entire city constructed from colossal stone, resting on artificial islands in the open ocean. A place that challenges our assumptions about what ancient people could do and when they could do it. Whether Nan Madol was the achievement of a remarkable island civilization or the last echo of something far older, its existence forces one undeniable truth. Human history is not as simple or as settled as we are often told. If the official timeline is correct, then Nan Madol stands as one of the greatest engineering feats of the ancient world. But if even part of the alternative theories are true, then it may represent something far more disturbing: the survival of knowledge from a forgotten age, an echo from a chapter of human history erased by rising seas and global catastrophe. Either way, Nan Madol is not just a ruin. It is evidence that there are still blank pages in our past. And somewhere beneath the jungles, beneath the oceans, and beneath the stones of this impossible city, those pages are still waiting to be read.